There is a $1 natural liquid you can mix in your kitchen in under 30 seconds that erases mold from any surface in your home and prevents it from ever returning. Not bleach that destroys the visible surface stain while the mold colony lives on, hidden in the porous material beneath. Not a $40 antifungal spray that requires gloves, a respirator, and a half day of ventilation before you can re-enter the room. A natural plant-derived liquid that disrupts the cellular machinery of every household mold species so completely that the colony cannot reorganize, cannot rebuild, and cannot establish a foothold in the treated area for months after a single application. The liquid is derived from a single Australian tree, used medicinally by Indigenous Australians for thousands of years, and rigorously studied by modern science since the 1920 seconds. It works through a molecular mechanism so absolute that fungal spores cannot develop resistance to it, because the active compounds attack the fundamental structure of the fungal cell membrane itself, and no organism can evolve away from having its cell walls dissolved. The mold remediation industry charges $1,500 to $4,000 for a professional bathroom treatment. Branded antifungal sprays run $15 to $40 a bottle. A $1 natural liquid that does the same job better without a single synthetic chemical and without the toxicity of bleach is exactly the kind of solution an industry built on professional mystification and fear has every reason to keep quiet about. They did not stop telling you because it failed. They stopped because a natural plant compound that any homeowner can apply in 20 minutes, and that prevents mold from returning for months, is the worst possible product for an industry that bills by the visit. The economics of mold control are built on fear, professional mystification, and the deliberate framing of household mold as a hazardous problem requiring expert chemical intervention. The mold remediation industry in the United States generates over $6 billion in annual revenue, and the consumer antifungal cleaning product market adds billions more in branded sprays, mold-resistant primers, and prevention treatments. The average professional mold remediation costs between $1,500 and $4,000 for a standard bathroom or basement treatment. Consumer antifungal products run $15 to $40 per bottle and are formulated to provide visible surface results that satisfy the customer in the short term while leaving the deeper mold colony intact to regrow within weeks, guaranteeing the next purchase and eventually the next professional service call when the homeowner concludes that the bottled product is not strong enough. The structure of the entire ecosystem depends on you believing that mold requires professional treatment, that natural solutions are inadequate, and that the cycle of bottle after bottle is normal. The $1 natural liquid ends that cycle, and the industry has every reason to make sure it never enters the mainstream conversation. The suppression of this knowledge required no conspiracy, only an industry with no incentive to recommend the cheapest natural alternative. You cannot patent an essential oil extracted from an Australian tree. You cannot build a recurring revenue stream around a liquid that homeowners mix once from a small bottle and refill for pennies. You cannot sell a $3,000 mold remediation contract to a customer who knows that a few drops of plant oil mixed with water disrupts the cellular structure of every household mold species at the molecular level. The chemistry of this natural antifungal has been documented in peer-reviewed scientific literature since the 1920 seconds, used in medical, dental, and veterinary applications around the world, and respected by clinical researchers as one of the most rigorously studied natural antimicrobial compounds in existence. None of that scientific consensus translated into mainstream consumer awareness in the United States because the consumer market for mold and antifungal products was built around branded chemical solutions that generate recurring revenue in a way that a $1 bottle of natural oil never could. Let me take you back 40,000 years to the ancient land that would eventually be called Australia. The indigenous Bundjalung people of what is now northeastern New South Wales had identified, generations beyond counting, a specific tree growing in the wetlands of their territory, whose crushed leaves released a powerful aromatic oil with remarkable medicinal properties. The Bundjalung used the leaves to treat skin infections, wounds, fungal conditions, and respiratory ailments. They crushed the leaves directly onto affected skin, brewed them into infusions for inhalation, and even slept on beds of fallen leaves near healing pools where the leaves had accumulated and infused the water. The tree was Melaleuca alternifolia, what European settlers would eventually call the tea tree, and the medicinal knowledge surrounding it was one of the most sophisticated ethnobotanical traditions in the ancient world. The Bundjalung did not understand the molecular chemistry of terpenen 4-ol, the primary antimicrobial compound in the tree's oil, but they understood, with the precision of generations of careful observation, that this particular tree produced a medicine no other plant could match. Move forward to 1923. When an Australian chemist named Arthur Penfold conducted the first systematic scientific investigation of tea tree oil's antimicrobial properties. Penfold, working at the Government Museum of Technology and Applied Science in Sydney, tested the oil against a wide range of bacterial and fungal pathogens and published findings that astonished the medical community of the era. Tea tree oil demonstrated antimicrobial activity many times stronger than the carbolic acid that was then the gold standard medical antiseptic, and it did so without the tissue damage that carbolic acid caused. Penfold's research was published in the Journal of the Royal Society of New South Wales in 1925, and within a decade, tea tree oil was being used in Australian military first aid kits during the Second World War, where it was applied to wounds and skin infections that resisted conventional treatment. Australian troops carried bottles of tea tree oil into combat. Australian field hospitals used it for surgical antisepsis. The oil was so highly regarded by the Australian military medical establishment that tea tree harvesting was classified as an essential wartime industry, and tea tree workers were exempted from military conscription so that production could continue uninterrupted. And throughout the second half of the 20th century, as scientific research methods became more rigorous and antimicrobial testing became more systematic, tea tree oil was subjected to dozens of peer-reviewed studies that confirmed and extended what the Bundjalung had known for millennia and what Penfold had documented in 1925. Researchers identified terpenin 4-ol and other terpene compounds as the primary active ingredients. They documented activity against an enormous range of bacterial pathogens, fungal species, and viruses. They tested it against household mold species, including Aspergillus, Penicillium, Cladosporium, and even the dreaded Stachybotrys chartarum, the black mold that the remediation industry uses to terrify homeowners into paying for professional treatment. The scientific record was unambiguous. The natural compound worked. And yet, in the United States consumer market, tea tree oil remained a niche product associated with alternative medicine and personal care rather than household antifungal treatment, a positioning that conveniently kept it out of the conversation when homeowners were searching for solutions to bathroom and basement mold problems. Before I give you the exact recipe and the chemistry of why tea tree oil disrupts mold at the cellular level, and the molecular biology here is the part the mold remediation industry would prefer you never understood, I need to tell you about the complete forbidden camping vault. Inside, you will find the full natural mold elimination protocol with exact tea tree oil concentrations for different mold species, application techniques for porous and non-porous surfaces, and the prevention methods that keep treated areas mold-free for months. Also the $1 kitchen recipe that triples every vegetable in your garden, the $2 natural powder that kills every ant and roach in 72 hours, the $1 powder that restores every pot and pan to factory condition, the $2 Japanese powder that restores every rusted tool overnight, and 9 additional guides covering water purification, shelter, fire, and emergency food preservation. The link is in the description right now. But do not go anywhere, because the molecular biology of what tea tree oil does to mold cell membranes is the most elegant natural antifungal mechanism in nature, and it costs less than a single bottle of the chemical antifungal that fails within 4 weeks. Here is exactly what happens at the molecular level when tea tree oil makes contact with mold, and why this single natural compound disrupts fungal biology so completely. Tea tree oil is a complex mixture of over 100 natural terpene compounds, but the primary antimicrobial activity is driven by a compound called terpenin 4-ol, which typically makes up 30 to 48% of the oil. Terpenin 4-ol is a small fat-soluble molecule that penetrates the lipid bilayer of fungal cell membranes, the protective phospholipid envelope that holds each fungal cell together and controls what enters and exits. Once embedded in the membrane, terpenin 4-ol disrupts the structural integrity of the lipid bilayer, increases membrane permeability, and causes the leakage of essential cellular components including potassium ions, enzymes, and metabolic intermediates. The fungal cell can no longer maintain the internal chemistry it needs to survive, and it dies. Simultaneously, other compounds in tea tree oil, including alpha-terpineol, gamma-terpenine, and 1,8-cineol, attack different cellular targets, including mitochondrial function and enzyme systems. The combination of attacks across multiple cellular pathways is why fungal spores cannot develop meaningful resistance to tea tree oil. The chemistry is too broad, hitting too many targets simultaneously for any single mutation to confer survival. A 2000 study published in the Journal of Applied Microbiology confirmed that tea tree oil at concentrations as low as 0.25% produced significant antifungal activity against a wide range of household mold species, and a 2007 study in Letters in Applied Microbiology demonstrated complete inhibition of Aspergillus and Penicillium mold growth at concentrations achievable with simple household dilutions. The natural compound that the Bunjalung knew empirically and that Penfold characterized scientifically has, in the modern peer-reviewed literature, been confirmed as one of the most effective natural antifungal agents known to chemistry. Here is exactly what to do, step by step. Step 1. Purchase pure tea tree essential oil from any pharmacy, health food store, or online retailer. Look for 100% pure Melaleuca alternifolia oil, not blended products or diluted versions. A small bottle of 30 milliliters costs $6 to $10 and is sufficient for dozens of applications, bringing the per treatment cost to well under $1. Step 2. In a clean spray bottle, combine 2 cups of water with 2 teaspoons of tea tree oil. Shake vigorously before every use. Natural oils and water do not mix permanently and will begin to separate, so re-emulsifying with each application ensures that the active compounds reach the treated surface evenly. For enhanced cling on vertical surfaces, you can add a few drops of dish soap to the spray bottle as an emulsifier. Step 3. Spray the solution directly onto the moldy surface, saturating the area completely. Do not wipe immediately. The tea tree oil needs contact time to penetrate and disrupt the mold colony. Allow the solution to sit undisturbed for at least 1 hour, and ideally longer. Step 4. After the contact period, scrub the surface with a stiff brush or sponge to remove the dead mold and any biological residue. For porous surfaces such as grout, drywall, or unsealed wood, work the solution into the surface during scrubbing to ensure the oil reaches the mycelial root structure below the surface. Step 5. Do not rinse after scrubbing. Unlike chemical antifungals that must be removed after application, tea tree oil residue continues to provide antifungal activity on the treated surface for days and weeks after application, preventing new spore germination during the vulnerable period when fresh mold could otherwise establish a foothold. Step 6. For ongoing prevention, mist treated areas weekly with a maintenance solution of 1 teaspoon of tea tree oil in 2 cups of water. In bathrooms and other moisture-prone areas, a light weekly mist after cleaning provides continuous antifungal protection without any chemical residue and without any health concerns. Total material cost per application, well under $1, with a single $8 bottle of pure tea tree oil producing dozens of treatments. A professional mold remediation service, $1,500 to $4,000 per bathroom. A bottle of branded antifungal spray, $15 to $40, with results that fade within weeks. Safety note: tea tree oil is one of the most extensively studied natural compounds in modern microbiology and is generally safe for use on household surfaces at the dilutions described. However, concentrated tea tree oil should never be ingested and is toxic to cats and dogs if applied to their skin or ingested in significant amounts. Keep both the concentrated oil and the diluted spray away from pets, and do not apply to surfaces where pets walk and then groom themselves. Wear gloves during extended application, as the concentrated oil can cause mild skin sensitivity in some individuals. Ensure good ventilation during application because of the strong aroma, though the vapor itself is not toxic at household use levels. Now, you know what the $6 billion mold remediation industry and every branded antifungal manufacturer have spent decades ensuring you never connected to a single Australian tree whose medicinal properties have been documented for tens of thousands of years. The compound that the Bunjalung people of New South Wales used for healing across countless generations, that Arthur Penfold characterized scientifically in 1925, that Australian military medics carried into the Second World War, and that modern peer-reviewed research has confirmed as one of the most effective natural antifungals known to chemistry, will erase the mold in your home for less than the cost of a single bottle of the chemical product the industry sells you on repeat. Share this with every homeowner who has been told their mold problem requires a $3,000 professional remediation. Subscribe and hit the bell, because the next vault we open exposes a method of capturing and storing enough rainwater to supply an entire household, using a $15 system the water utility industry has quietly lobbied to restrict in over a dozen states.